mine later on, so he's going to push in here, but nv.Deth says, alright, if most of your battle cruisers are up there, I can push through the bottom or through the middle and take out these tanks, even landing the Vikings down so they don't take damage from the missile turrets, and then taking out the tanks as well. A very nice job right there by Deth, and now reclaims the pocket expansion, but as a result will lose the 12 o'clock. I think that's a trade he can be happy with, though, as now a big battle is coming underway. A couple of point defense drones going down. They are out of energy. You see how rapidly Vikings can deplete the energy of point defense drone. One Thor coming in at the wrong moment in time. I think Deth right there thought, hey, maybe I can just push a Thor into the middle and try to make something happen, but I guess Lengmo with the wherewithal to go ahead and leave a couple of tanks back at home in a solid defensive position. Meanwhile, Hellions coming in here and roasting up the SCVs and meals like nobody's business. Could they go up to the top left expansion here? Doesn't look like it. They're going to go ahead and sneak around. There is a hole here for these Hellions to get through, and a lot of SCVs here are going to take some damage. 41 workers have gone down this game already, and Lengmo's Hellions are upgraded to corporal status, even taking out their evolved form, the Hellbat, and now a couple more meals dropping down. I don't know if Deth really wanted to drop meals at that position, because those meals are not going to realize any sort of positive net income. And finally, the Hellions are going to go down, but 52 workers have dropped this game, and that's one of the solid reasons why Lengmo, even though he's down in supply, or he was down in supply, and even though he was down in bases, he is still quite very much in this game, although we do have a nuclear missile coming in as well, so Lengmo looking to go all or nothing. Is going to try to capitalize on his advantage with nuclear missiles, but here comes a big battle, and a couple of secret missiles now coming out. Of course, the way they work now, 3 seconds in the air, and then they come down unless the enemy forces can pull out of harm's way. It looks like more secret missiles coming out. It's very hard to see them when they're clumped in this army, but it looks like Deth just trying to stay out of harm's way with the Vikings. Very nice job. Battle cruisers now launching out Yamato cannons. The Thors are not in high impact payload mode, but it looks like Deth will have more than enough Vikings here to win this fight. Those battle cruisers are just so beefy, though, but the Vikings do have a little bit more range. They can kite out of the way of the battle cruisers, and it looks like Deth is going to win that fight solidly, but reinforcement tanks are coming in. This is such a crazy Terran versus Terran, 33 minutes in right now, and I don't know if Lengmo can really continue to play this aggressively. He's just losing so many forces, even though he's lost less than Deth overall has this game. From what I've seen with his siege tanks, he's been quite cavalier. He needs to pull back, play it a little bit more safe. Of course, that works very well, plays very well into Deth's hands, because Deth has got to be thinking right now, yes, I win the fight, therefore I can reclaim this expansion and continue to steal minerals and gas away from you. And if that's the case, man, he can just play this type of I'm gonna, raid your resource mentality for a very long time. Once this map runs dry of money, it really does come down to the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock position. And if he's already taken the preliminary measures to steal as much money as he possibly can, I think that's going to be quite good for nv.Deth, because Lengmo is just going to straight up run out of money. That's what's going to happen. But of course, the X factor here is those nuclear missiles. The funny thing is, the Ghost Academies are just plain up researching them right in front of Deth's face. And here comes nuclear missile number 1, but the Ghost gets obliterated by the tanks. The missile turrets, I don't know how he saw the Ghost right there. He might have had just a comsat dropping down or something, but here we go. He is going to try to get another nuclear missile launch here with the comsat, revealing the high ground. 1 nuclear missile coming down. Will Deth see it in time? It's very hard to see that little red dot because it's right on the missile turret, but Deth is just so good with the vision. I think he pulled him out of the way, but not completely out of the way. So one tank takes a little bit of damage, but nothing too serious. And now 2 more nuclear missiles are coming on the production tab, and this is, I guess, Lengmo's strategy to go ahead and get back into this game and go ahead and capitalize on his advantages. He's going to try to nuke his way to victory, but this Ghost, not cloaked, is going to die. Oh, that nuke would have been glorious. And now here comes a massive battle. Hellbats now coming on the field, and a couple of PDDs are here as well. Hellbats are just going to fight against landed Vikings. I don't know if landed Vikings are that good against Hellbats, actually. And then the Vikings are like, oh, it burns, I'm out of here. They lift back up into the air. And now it looks like Deth is going to fall back into his missile turret coverage here. He's going to try to make a defense with the Thors. It looks like Lengmo might have enough forces. I don't know, actually. Meals are getting dropped down from Deth. He's going to try to keep these Thors alive. And of course, he's got more siege tanks in the background. So once again, Lengmo making an attack that did not work out too well for him, but if you look at the income tab, he is winning 62 over 37 workers right now. And that's just due to the fact that he's been so effective harassing with Hellions all game long. It doesn't matter that he doesn't have as many bases because he's got so many workers, and now he's launching another nuclear missile. He's gonna try to nuke his way through these missile turrets and tanks. He's brought a couple of tanks down here as well. These guys are pretty brave. Looks like they want to take a little bit of nuke damage. Not sure if they're gonna die from that. Probably will not, but they will take some damage there, and that nuke probably was more counterproductive than anything. And now these forces are going to come in from Death and clean up the radiated tanks. And there we go. So far, from what I've seen, it looks like Lengmo, he's got more harvesters, but the problem is he cannot punch through the 6 o'clock or the 12 o'clock position, and that might be due to the fact that he just waited so long and allowed Death to establish such a good defensive posture, but he is bringing in more forces right now. And will he be able to bust through? He's got a couple of Thors in high impact payload mode. He's got to punch through this expansion and try to take either the 6 or the 12. Right now focusing the 6 o'clock, but will he have enough forces to do so? The Vikings are landing on top of his army, and the Vikings, oh my god, they're just taking so much damage from the tanks. Once again, Death just says, well, probably not a good idea, so I'm out of here. And it looks like Lengmo might actually be able to punch through into the orbital command. He is starting to siege it down right now, but he doesn't have air superiority, so this one tank in the background is starting to push these tanks away. Has one kill already. He's Death now going to try to unsiege this tank, push it forward under the vision of his air units. There's another nuclear missile coming at the 12 o'clock position here. Lengmo going to try to take out these SCVs. Meanwhile, of course, coming through the middle of the map as well. 3 different attacks going on at the same time. It doesn't look like Death can pay attention to 3 things at once, and who can blame him? He loses more SCVs. He's up to 79 workers lost now, only 37 workers alive, and it looks like the ground army through the middle decides to pull back and is going to reinforce the tank position. That was really smart military decision making by Lengmo, because basically the push through the middle, I think, was just designed to distract Death into not seeing the nuclear missile, and then once the nuke had landed, he just pulled his army away and ensured that he would take out this 6 o'clock position. So that was quite intelligent right there, and now he's going to establish his position here as he starts to throw up missile turrets. Very smart play by Lengmo, and he so desperately needed to take out this base, because while he does have 62 harvesters, it doesn't do you much good if you don't have a spot to mine out of, and you can see that he's pretty much running out of money now across his normal expansion, so he really does need this base to be mining for himself. Meanwhile, has a couple of forces in the middle of the map pulling back his ghosts at the 12 o'clock position. Death here has to deal with the battlecruiser that has snuck its way behind this expansion, and BCs are actually pretty damn good at taking out workers. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. The SCVs and Neil's now trying to repair. A lot of Blue Flame Hellions coming up to the 12 o'clock here, as a couple of forces are even coming around the backside, and Lengmo looking to maybe take another base. And at this point, Death cannot afford to lose the 12 o'clock position, because while he has been stealing money at the restricted areas, the 12 and the 6, he hasn't mined them out yet, and you can see both players are running very low on resources, so he cannot afford to lose this 12 o'clock. At this point, it's do or die for both players. The 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock expansions are their lifeblood. That's what's allowing them to stay in this game, so if they can hold on to it, they have to hold on to it at all costs, no matter what. And we'll see if Death will be able to do that. He does have a pretty large army, but another nuclear missile here coming from the main base. Very smart nuclear tactics, because it would be hard for a tank to really be able to shoot across that chasm. He'd have to position the tank there in the first place, but the nuke is going to land, and Death does see it at the last second. He pulls away. Brilliant control right there. I thought for sure he was going to lose even more workers. He would have lost up to 100 SCVs this game, which would have been incredible, just insane. But Lengmo, wow, that ghost has 18 kills. 18 kill ghost, probably due to the fact that it's been launching nukes all day long. And if he wants to, he can shoot another nuclear missile. He's making 3 at a time. You almost feel like at this point, it might be a good idea for Death to go ahead and take out the Ghost Academies, the supply for the nuclear missiles, but Lengmo is intelligent enough to leave a couple of forces back at home guarding the Ghost Academies, so really he's got all bases covered. So maybe the best thing Death can do right now is put a siege tank back here behind the missile turrets, because with proper siege tank positioning, he should be able to keep the ghosts away from nuking this spot. But we'll see if he goes ahead to do that. Meanwhile, what is going on across the map right now? The upgrades tab is just insane, especially for Lengmo. He's got all the tier 3 Terran upgrades that you can possibly imagine. Here comes another nuclear missile. Comsat goes down, does see that there is in fact a ghost there, and right now it's do or die for Death. He was about to go in there to try to take out the ghost, but I think he thought better of it. He's like, well, probably not worth the risk. I'll just let the nuclear missile land and take out my missile turrets. No big deal at all. And gonna go ahead and rebuild the turrets there. So I thought for a second that he was gonna bring his whole air army in to try to take out a ghost. That would have been so risky. But now I think another nuclear missile is coming down. Death's got to be careful, man. I hope he pays attention. Yeah, he's got to know this is the only spot really that Lengmo has a position to be able to aggressively nuke, and as long as Death pays attention and hears, hey, nuclear launch detected, then he should know, okay, there's a nuke coming. But the problem here is this nuke is preventing Death from mining any resources, so while the nuke costs 100, it's almost like it's worth it because Death cannot mine out of the only location possible on the map that is left for him to mine out of. So right now he's not making any bank. He's not stockpiling any surplus, and you can see Lengmo's already got 2,200, 400. Death only has 800, 100. So these nuclear missiles are, in a way, in essence, paying off for themselves. And I feel at some point Death's just got to go in there and take out that ghost. He's got to go for it. And here we go, a couple of Banshees sniping out that ghost right there, assassinated the ghost, the king of assassins. So very good job right there by nv.Deth, realizing what was at stake. He needs to mine out of the 12 o'clock position. The longer that goes on that he's not making any money, the further behind he falls in this game. And right now it looks like Lengmo actually switching up into Thors now, not going to be going for mass battlecruisers anymore. Very interesting. He's got 8 Thors, 16 siege tanks, and 15 Hellions, whereas Death has more of a Raven army. Ravens, 12 tanks, 23 Vikings. I almost feel like at this point, Death's army is more suited to combat battlecruisers than it is suited to combat Thors. So this is a brilliant tech switch by Lengmo, because Thors are going to be very good against the clumped up air forces. Death is going to have to spread these units out. He's dropping down a couple of Seeker missiles right now. Will there be enough Seeker missile fire to take out these Thors? It looks like it did a good chunk of damage there, but his air forces are clumping up. He's trying to land them down to help back up against the Thors, and now it looks like the Mules are dropping down to help repair. An absolutely epic TVT battle, and it looks like Death is going to come out ahead, but he lost a lot of forces there. He's only at 96 supply to 121. You'll recall his bank is not as vast as Lengmo's is, so he's got to pick his position wisely right now, because if he sticks around, if he doesn't be aggressive right now before the Terran army remaxes, I think he could be in a lot of trouble. He needs to try to take out these tanks as well. Once again, Lengmo being a little bit too cavalier with his siege tanks. Gonna lose a couple in the middle of the map. Both armies trying to rapidly resupply their lines. A couple of ghosts here just not cloaking, taking quite a bit of splash damage right there. He's got to cloak these ghosts and try to go in there and go for maybe some nuclear launches or take out some SCVs, but it looks like, yeah, there we go, cloaking the ghosts up and forcing this orbital command to lift off. Meanwhile, what are both players doing? You know, both of them have a 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock position. A Banshee coming in with comsat should be enough to reveal these ghosts. Able to take it down. Very nice job. Another ghost coming in here with another nuclear missile though, and Death, is he paying attention? He is pulling the SCVs out of harm's way once again. Recall, he's only got 35 workers, and he's not bothering to make any more, because really, what's the point when you don't have that much more money to make on this map? So if he loses those SCVs, that's absolutely tragic, and so far, as of this point, he's been doing a good job of keeping those space construction vehicles alive, because if he doesn't, he's got to replenish them. Absolutely detrimental to his economy. And oh god, here comes those Hellions, gonna roast up the remainder of the SCVs. Now above 100 workers killed is Lengmo, and he has just killed off almost all the workers remaining for Death. He's only got 12 left on the map, only 11 now. So he's got to bring whatever he's got straggling around on the map, building or repairing, and maybe all the SCVs here, and bring them to this expansion and drain the rest of those minerals. Right now, he is running quite low on supply, 97 under 136. Both players are just dropping comsats like nobody's business, because at this point in the game, you've got to keep tabs on the opponent's army. Comsat vision is absolutely crucial, because it keeps an eye on where your enemy forces are moving and what type of units they've got. And here comes another nuclear missile. You can see the comsat allowing the ghost to nuke, and then the enemy comsat to check where the ghost was, and It looks like Death can pull the workers out of the way, but he's not going to pull the mule, so he loses one mule. Nothing too serious, as he's almost mined out this location, but you know, both players are pretty much almost nearly mined out at this point. And I feel like if that's the case, you know, they might want to start considering throwing away a few workers. Maybe not Death, because he's only got 16. It might be more wise for Death to just keep the workers in his army and use them as bait. But for Lengmo, you know, he's got a big surplus of SCVs here. Maybe just throw away half of them and keep the other half as part of his army. But then again, he doesn't really have that much of a bank, and he's not supply capped either. So it's probably best just for both players now to consider incorporating their workers into their army and starting to use them as just a way to bait siege tank fire and draw a little bit of attacks away from their armies, and maybe to help repair as well. But this game is now 52 minutes in. Absolutely epic. 52 workers for Lengmo, 16 for Death. Both armies heavily upgraded. They are pretty much maxed out. And do we have any more nuclear missiles in the stockpile for Lengmo? He does have one nuclear missile remaining, but he's gonna try to use that one wisely, I suppose, because at this point, if you keep dropping nukes here, and you've got to consider there isn't that much money left to be made, it starts to get a little less cost effective, especially if you've only got one nuke remaining. So I think he's gonna save his silver bullet here for the best possible time. Both ... coming out from Lengmo, because essentially now we've reached a point in the game where it's kind of a stalemate. It's kind of hard to say who's ahead in this game, you know, and this kind of brings back some memories back in the Pro League. I think there was a game with Flash where he played an epic TBT. It was like an hour and 50 minutes long. Both armies were maxed out. They were completely stalemated, and players started lifting off their buildings and using buildings as a way to float over their army to make it harder for the enemy player to target their own units. So at that point, the referees were like, well, we're going to pause the game here. And then they told the two players, look, we can't just sit here and watch you guys macro all day long. We can't, oh, not macro, but we can't watch you guys stalemated all day long. So you guys have to attack. And so they told them both to attack into each other. That was really funny. I ended up casting that game like 4 or 5 years ago. But nevertheless, here comes Lengmo. Doesn't need a referee to tell him to be aggressive. He's moving in with these Hellions. He's got to be careful, though. It looks like he was able to do a little bit of damage, but you know what? Hellions versus Hellbats. I don't know if that's the best way to go. Maybe he should think about converting his Hellions into Hellbats. You'll note both armies here almost have like a Berlin Wall set up across. Look at the mini-map here. You've got Lengmo with a wall here. You've got Death with a wall here, making it pretty hard for either player to be aggressive on that side of the map. But on this side of the map, it's another story. I think, well, it's even bigger of a wall, if you will. And I think at any moment here, you know, it's going to come down to one last big battle, because they're out of money, they're out of bases, they don't have anything left in the tank, and really it is just going to come down to one last battle. Who can micro the best, who's got the best positioning overall, and this isn't going to help losing a couple of Hellions, but he is going to be able to pick off a few tanks here. Very nice job. And Death losing a few tanks, not good at all. He's only down to one siege tank remaining now. Lengmo going in, he's gonna get the last siege tank as well. No, he is not. He's gonna try to keep these Hellions alive for a rainy day, but with Death only down to one siege tank remaining, he's gonna have to rely on 18 Hellbats and whatever the other units he's got overhead against an army mostly comprised of siege tanks and Thors. So this is quite interesting. Don't forget the nuclear missile also in the armaments for Lengmo as well. So really, I think it comes down a lot to the nuclear missile, if it's going to land on the enemy forces, and it's going to come down to the fact that Death doesn't have that many siege tanks. So if he moves into attack, he has to pick a spot where the tanks are not sieged up yet. If he just walks in with his entire army, he's going to get his forces sieged up. And look at this, Mule stealing money right there. That's quite clever, and that's actually pretty smart too. This is the last mineral patch on the map. Oh, there's a couple more back here, I guess, and whatnot. But really, there is no more money to be had, so why not steal what remains of your opponent's money? This meal coming back. I got this, guys. But Death takes it out, so there it is. And now at this point, really, 146 supply to 138. One thing to note is Lengmo's army, a lot of SCVs, so that doesn't bode too well for him if this goes head-to-head, but he does have a lot of siege tanks, so I don't know, guys. This is interesting. A couple of ghosts coming in here, but is there a Raven overhead? It looks like there is not, so he could get a nuclear missile for the win here, but it would have to be a pretty lucky nuclear missile. I don't think he's going to be able to land it down. He's got to be careful here because those ghosts are spotted by ComSat vision. I know Lengmo wants to get that nuclear missile down, and I think nv.Deth knows about it just as much as well. Right now, I think he should pull these tanks back. There's no reason to leave them here. Most of the forces on this side of the map have been killed off. Bring the tanks to reposition them over here because it's going to come down to this last final battle. You'll note that now Deth just researched Yamato Cannon himself. So, switch of the tables here. Deth says, okay, you're not making battlecruisers anymore, so I'm going to go battlecruisers. And I'm going to get Yamato Cannon. And I've got 5 BCs here ready to go at any moment in time. What do you got? And I don't know if Lengmo's got enough to deal with this. He's got to switch the Thors. I feel like it's hard to say because high impact payload is more effective against BCs, but I feel like with the loss of the ability to do splash, maybe the javelin missile launchers are better when the units are clumped up. So it's really hard to say overall what is better, and that's kind of a decision that you've got to make in real time. But look at this. Barracks floating out in no man's land, gonna be pushed away. Lengmo now, I guess, says, well, I gotta get a couple of BCs of my own in the mix here because I don't want to lose out in a BC versus BC war. But here we go. Uh-oh, these battlecruisers, are they going for Yamato fire? Yeah, they're gonna take out one Thor very quickly. Very nice job right there because the BC does have a little bit more HP than the Thors do, and they are able to take out the Thors with that superior damage from the Yamato cannon. So a nice sniper right there. Now Lengmo says, okay, you want to do that again? I'm in high impact payload now. So if you come in for another round, for sure, it's going to be a much different story. And Deth now going to, I guess, pull away. There's no reason to really stay here anymore because this expansion is pretty much all but mined out. So he says, all right, well, I'm just going to pull out now, maybe make as much gas as possible out of these refineries and potentially go for an attack down at the 6 o'clock. Not too sure what he wants to do right now. Gonna shoot a couple of Yamatos on missile turrets, which is totally fine. You know, it's energy for free. And it looks like there are a couple of ghosts here. He should Yamato the ghost. Oh, great EMP by Lengmo. Absolutely beautiful right there, shutting down the battlecruisers. They won't have enough energy for Yamato cannon anymore. And now it might be time for Lengmo to make his move. He's brought his 52 SCV army with his tanks and Thors, but he's got to be careful. That's a lot of Hellion firepower. Those SCVs could go down so quickly. He's keeping them in the back, though. That's very smart. He doesn't want to keep them in the front. Keep in the back so they can repair. And the tanks and Thors now sieging up. Will he have enough firepower? Yamato cannon is not available for Deth because he was EMP'd. And now this is the battle we've all been waiting for. The Vikings landing on top of the tanks as well. Thors using high impact payload, but there's too many battlecruisers. And Lengmo GG's. And nv.Deth is victorious. Absolutely amazing. 1 hour and 2 minute game. Oh my god, are you kidding me? I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast. That was an absolute brawl, and it was very hard to say at any point in time who was ahead in this game. It was kind of back and forth. 1 hour and 2 minutes. I've been wanting to do a long game TVT for some time now, so that definitely hit the spot, if you guys get what I'm saying. So if you guys want to send in any replays, if you know any good players or any pros that are playing, send them into HDreplays@gmail.com. And this is, for now, HD StarCraft, and I am signing out.